Hi, welcome to Forward Community Church Children's Ministries. We're continuing our series of Bible stories, working our way through the Bible. Last week we talked about Solomon, David's son, how he did great things for God, and then he also did some bad things. And when he died, God told him that he was going to divide the kingdom. Solomon's son was not wise, and he caused the division of the kingdom into 10 tribes called Israel, and then Judah. Judah is the one that Solomon's son reigned over. From that point forward, Israel and Judah were divided nations. They each had their own king and they each had their own problems. This time period in the Bible is called the Kings. It shares some similarities in ways to the Judges time period. They're different because one's focused on the ruler and the other one is the people, but this series again of people doing wickedly, people turning away from God coming in and judging, and the people repenting and moving back to God, and God giving them a good leader is kind of repeated. Generally during this time, Judah fares a little better with rulers than Israel does. Israel had a long series of a lot of bad rulers leading the people wrong. During this time, a king arose named Manasseh. His father, Hezekiah, who was a good king, died, and Manasseh took over ruling at 12 years old. Manasseh was not a good king. He did lots of things that God had commanded the people not to do. God commanded that people should not worship idols. Manasseh worshipped idols. He even went so far as to set up idols in God's temple, the temple that Solomon had built. He practiced witchcraft, sorcery. He even practiced human sacrifice to false gods. And God was not happy with this, and he judged Judah by bringing the Assyrians. They conquered the kingdom of Judah, and they took Manasseh away to prison. In prison, Manasseh is still alive, but he's away from his land, and he's in horrible conditions. He cries out to God, and he repents. He prays, and he says, God, I've done wrong, and he humbles himself, and he says, if you will give me another chance, God, I will do better. I will worship you as the one God. Amazingly, God did. He delivered Manasseh from the Assyrians. They brought him back, and he became king again over Judah. He kept his word, and he did differently. He cleaned the temple out. He took all the idols down around the countryside and threw them away, and he set up worship again. He commanded that the people should only worship the one true God. He really turned his life around. He offered sacrifice, commanded the people to offer sacrifice, tried to restore the priesthood, and just really tried to do what was right. It's amazing how much God changed his life, but God was merciful, and God forgives us. Manasseh reigned for 55 years, and then he died, and his son Amon took over. Now, Amon was not a good man again. He started doing all the evil things that Manasseh had originally done, worshiping idols and just being bad. But he didn't last for very long, only 2 years, and one of his own people murdered him in his house. They couldn't take what he was doing anymore. His son, who was only 8 years old, took his place. His name was Josiah, and he reigned 31 years. Josiah did good things for God. He did even more than Manasseh had done. Josiah rounded up all the idols, smashed them, buried them, got rid of them, completely cleansed the land of false worship. He cleaned the temple. While they were cleaning the temple, they found a scroll of the law of God. And these laws told the people what they should and should not do. He was very excited to find this, and he had them come out and read the laws before himself and the people. When they did, he was so saddened. He was trying to do good, but he realized that he and his fathers before him had done all the wrong things. They had not followed right. He was so saddened by this. He ripped his clothes. That was a sign in those days. They were just extremely sad. Well, someone ripping their clothes and putting ashes on them is a sign then that they were in mourning. Josiah was in mourning for all that Israel had done. At this time, a prophetess named Huldah came to Josiah, and she said, because of all these words that God has said, he has judged Judah, and Judah will stand no more. It's going to fall. Josiah was extremely sad because of this, and he cried out to God. God sent Huldah again, and she said, because you have humbled yourself, cleansed the land, and have do right, I will not bring this to pass in your days, but it will come to pass in your son's days. Josiah lived out his years. He reigned for 31 years in Judah. At the end of this time, Josiah went out and he was fighting with his army. And he was in a chariot. He was wounded. They brought him back to Jerusalem, and he died in Jerusalem. The people were so sad because Josiah had been a good king. They were glad to have him, and he was now gone. Well, his son takes the throne, and it's not very long till Judah is captured, and the kingdom of Judah is no more. It has fallen. It would not rise again. God had promised David that someone would sit on his throne forever. Christ is that king that comes from David's line. And we're still waiting for that kingdom to be set up, a kingdom that will never end, that will rule in righteousness, and that all the earth will see it. I can't wait for that day. Can you? That'll be so exciting. I hope you've enjoyed it. Kings is an interesting series of books. There's a lot of lessons in there that I didn't hit on, but there's a lot of good life lessons found in 1st and 2nd Kings. Go check it out if you haven't. We'll see you all next time. God bless.